where whether it's the broken rubble or finding the spots where I knew I needed to dismantle the old pathways and truly make sure they were not going to continue on. And I needed to make it a definitive dismantling. They can be rebuilt in a new way. And that's what building new neural pathways does, is when you build new ones and the old ones aren't used, those thoughts don't continue on, they actually die back. And then they're no longer firing and continuing to do that. So that's how a lot of people make it through recovery, addiction recovery. They change direction in their life. That's how that happens, is they stop the same pattern. And so sometimes it's a pattern disruption. So your brain doesn't look for what it's familiar with. And we can tend to panic when we don't have what's familiar around us. And that leaves us thinking something's very wrong, even if we're doing the right thing. So in that dismantling time, I really wanted to think about what the inner voices were that were keeping me stuck. What were things I was told as a kid, as a young adult, things that I told myself that were keeping me in a loop of who I believed myself to be, how I was supposed to be acting, what I was supposed to be doing, and pulling out all of that and laying it out to go, okay, and all of this has to go because it's not serving me, it's creating pain for me, it cannot continue. So that week was hard because I was diving into these places that it brings up resentment, and it brought up also a sort of relief of, now I get to move on from this phase. The next week, which would be the fourth week for me, it was a reclamation. I wanted to reclaim and take my power of who I am and who I believe myself to be since I was a child and take it back and be able to write down and reclaim all of those things. So I spent a lot of time writing and defining who I am and who I desire to grow into and be reborn into, because I didn't want to live in that same cycle anymore. It was creating blocks for me to continue to grow and feel the fulfillment that I desired in my life. And a lot of that was from self-abandonment. So I had to put strong boundaries on myself from looking at the uncovering and the dismantling of, we cannot return to those behaviors or patterns or personality traits that seem to serve us as a function, but actually we're creating